Himalayan started making a terrible knocking noise. I'm just going to start it up and see if we can determine what it is. I'm thinking big end. Could be timing chain. And here's the problem. A little bit of piston slap going on there. And the top of the piston's got big chunks out of it. On both sides, inlet and exhaust. Be interesting to see. It looks like there might be a big crack in the bottom of the piston there too, where the gudgeon pin goes through. Looks like it was about to let go on me. That would have been fun. So the engine of my 2018 Himalayan is now set free from the frame. Got a long bolt that came through here. When it was first came out of these holes, it was looking like it was going to really hit on this part of the frame, but it couple of knocks with the drift from the other side, and it cleared it okay and came out quite easily. Right, I've got my safety boots on, so all good. Dust coat so I don't get my shirt dirty. Voila. The reason I'm doing this is that I did, well, kind of burnt the clutch out on an adventure ride. Managed to get just enough adjustment out of the lever on the case here to get me out of trouble after being towed about 3 kilometres on the shittiest limestone sandy track. Oh, it was horrible. I feared for my life. I thought I was going home in a helicopter that day. So just had a bit of an aha moment, more of a dopey crap moment actually. So that's my clutch plates, friction plates and black ass. So I'm thinking that when I overheated my clutch, probably also overheated the oil. That's broken down the lubrication properties and contributed at least to the piston not getting lubricated and overheating, causing all those nasty cracks and falling apart stuff. No bits in there. Just doing a bit of porting on the Himalayan head. This is the exhaust port now. Just trying to shine the torch in there as I film. Just opened it up a little bit on the very edge where the exhaust pipe fits the header, just around there, but mainly on the inside radius, which is just at the top of the port there. There's quite a a big shoulder there. I could have possibly gone more than that, but it's certainly better than it was. 80 grit and went to 120, and the exhaust is now finished with a 180 grit. It's not polished, but I have deshrouded the valves a little bit. There was quite a sharp step around the outside of the valves, inlet and outlet. So I've deshrouded those so that the gases can flow more freely around the valve as it comes in and out of the pot. I'll obviously reseat the valves. Inlet was similar sort of deal, just getting rid of that shoulder right at the top of the port as it sits there. Again, I might have been able to go some more, but first time doing it, so didn't want to go too mad. Fairly happy with that. The inlet port I've only finished with an 80 grit sandpaper, and that's so that the fuel air mixture doesn't sort of form rivulets as it goes in. You sort of need still a little bit of a swirling effect of the gases as they're coming in, so that the fuel is still quite airborne in the mix. So hopefully that bit of port work has readied the head for the 500cc bore and piston that's going to be going in a couple of weeks' time. Here's the new pot for the Himalayan 500cc when it's paired up with this shiny new forged aluminium piston. Shiny. Also got a shiny new Himalayan tools cam going in. That'll give the valves a bit more lift and a bit more dwell, I believe. Get a bit more fuel in and the exhaust gases out quicker. A few more horsepower there. A couple of foot gaskets for the pot. 2 foot gaskets just in case you need a bit more clearance from the piston to the valves. New gudgeon pin and circlips. New head gasket that's been enlarged to 500cc. New cam chain going in as well, because it's a pain in the ass to get to, so you might as well do it while everything's apart. And a jet kit from 6 Sigma for the carburetor to sort out the fuel. Doing a little bit more head porting on the Himalayan head. I've marked a line around the outside here where the new head gasket comes to, so I'm just going to go up to the inside of this black line, get rid of a bit of this meat here, because apparently the new piston gives it a little bit too much compression, so just trying to reduce the compression by taking away a bit of the meat in the head. And I've moved on to the air operated die grinder because I've just got a better control over speed. It's working much better so far. The magneto though, there's a special tool that threads down onto this very large fine thread here. Haven't got one of them, so I'm going to see if I can make something that just mark that on the bit of steel. A little bit more pressure, more tap on the end. There we go, we have success. We're getting deep now, kiddies. Oil pumps off, gear selectors off, oil pump drive off, the crankshaft is off. Lots of little bits in there. Gotta get this little fella off next. So the manual suggests a nut and bolt in between these two flanges in order to separate the two halves of the crankcase. 10mm galv bolt with a 10mm nut on it. So it did work. I cut the bolt down to 24mm, 23mm, whatever it is, and just gently prised it, and you can see the gap in the case there now. So I found another pair of tabs at the bottom of the crankcase, and it has separated the case. And we're separated. I was expecting the crankshaft to come out on the other side for some reason, but it hasn't. But anyway, we can work with that. Just need to enlarge these two sections here and here so that the new pot can fit in. Just doing the finishing touches of grinding the throat of the crankcase out so that the new pot can fit in. We'll take out about 1.5mm all the way around. As you can see, it goes quite deep down into the crankcase, so yeah, we've had to come quite deep here. Take out a bit of meat there, but there's a little oil gallery or something just in this section here, but still plenty of meat there. No fear of breaking through there. You know what I need to take out. Pretty happy. Just a little lump through here that I might just work on. All done. Now I've got the very tedious task of removing all the silicone from the two faces of the crankcase. Oh, no gasket there, just sealed with silicone. Just been trialling a couple of different methods of removing the silicone from the crankcase. So far this seems to work quite well. It's like quite a stiff laundry kind of scour of some kind on a like a little flannel. And I'm actually using hand sanitizer, isopropyl alcohol based in gel form. You got hand sanitizer, so that'll stay on the block a bit better while it soaks in. And yeah, it seems to be doing quite well. Come off fairly good, and it's a bit that's not done yet. Rub like that. There you go. So, hand sanitizer, silicone remover, who would have known? Heard a few reports of the head just weeping a little bit of oil from this area here, and I had noticed it on mine. Apparently it's to do with these couple of bolts here not really being long enough. So what I'm going to do is just wind in a bolt into that hole just to get a measure on the depth of it. Just marked it with some tape, wind it back out, just see what sort of thread depth we've got available there. Got about 15mm, I'd call it. I haven't got the head with me to measure how much head that the bolt's got to go through as well, but I know the manual says that these bolts are a 30mm bolt. I've got a 35mm one here that I might replace that with. It'll just give us a little bit more opportunity to put a bit more pressure on those two head bolts just to try and stop that weeping. Might even try and find a 40mm bolt if I can. Going to wrap up this episode now. I've popped the crankcases back together without the crank in it, just to test fit the new pot, make sure that goes down. Got the room that we need, it's sitting nicely, there's no gaps there, and we've got a bit of movement around the pot there, so I'm happy with that fit. I've sent the head off to have the valve seats recut or possibly even replaced, depending on what the man thinks about it. But unfortunately, he's got the COVIDs, so I wasn't able to talk to him straight away. I'll have a chat with him through the week and find out what's going to happen there. Cleaned up all the surfaces of the crankcase. While I'm waiting for the head to come back, I'll start getting the crank back in. All these little parts over here, we'll get them back in the machine. Hopefully I don't have any left over.